No, that is not Randy LaJoie and Marty Reed flying in via parachutes. Just part of the ceremonies pre-race going on here at O'Reilly Raceway Park as we are getting ready to go racing for 200 laps under the lights here in Indianapolis. Take a look at how the temperature has changed. Got all the way up to 84 during qualifying and track temperature at 120. Right now 81 degrees and track temperature has dropped to 95 and it will drop even further. Let's relive some great moments for the man who's working with us in the booth tonight and next week at Montreal. Randy LaJoie has won this race twice, both times from the pole. In fact, you're the only two-time pole sitter still in 27 years. And this has got to be fun to look at.
Yes, it is. Give me my helmet. I think I could do it again.
You said the second one was harder than the first?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we led more laps in the second one, but track position we kind of got behind, and we got back to the checker flag first.
All right, let's go back to the issue of the tapered spacer. In fact, let me reach forward here. This is what it's all about. Let's explain it one more time if somebody tuned in late.
NASCAR mandated a spacer for all these nationwide cars. 800 horsepower here, 650 horsepower here. Toyota did a wonderful job with getting their horsepower. Everybody thought it was too much. Their technology in their motor was better than everybody else's. So they took 15 horsepower away by taking it 25 thousandths of an inch smaller.
It's about the thickness of this piece of cardboard right here. That's how much we're talking about. Let's talk about qualifying. We went back to Milwaukee because it's a mile track, yes, but the banking's sort of similar. And here's what happened. Milwaukee, it was 5th, 7th, and 9th with Ruderman, Logano, and Leffler. And here, not much difference. Kyle Busch in 2nd, actually. Joey in 5th. Jason Leffler in 11th. And you said we wouldn't see a big difference here. It would be down the road at some of the bigger tracks.
Absolutely. They might even done these guys a favor. We heard a lot about wheel spin, about grip. And what happens is when you take horsepower away, you have less grip and you have more grip because you have less horsepower. And that's what's going to happen later in these runs. These Toyotas might win again.
Well, and there's one thing we need to also point out. Take a look at the Toyota camp because it really is Joe Gibbs Racing that really threw the monkey wrench into this thing. They won 13 of the 14 wins by Toyota. And look at the laps they've led, 1,823, over 1,000 of those by a certain guy by the name of Kyle Busch.
Oh, absolutely. Well, Kyle Busch is just phenomenal this year. No matter what he gets in, he wins. But, yeah, I mean, Michael Waltrip and Ruderman's team has been very, very good. They don't have the finishes. Braun Racing has run second to Gibbs Racing a bunch. Joe Gibbs Racing has done a lot of in-house stuff to make their product very good.
Well, you can see from our view from high above that everybody is in their place as it is time after having the invocation, the anthem, and the flyover to get this show on the road at O'Reilly Raceway Park for the 27th time. That's right, it started back in 1982. Let's go trackside.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, with the most famous words in motorsports, welcome Ron C., Risk Management Loss Prevention Manager for Kroger.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
So the engines have fired on 43 cars, and there's the 38, the winner last year, Jason Leffler. He is going to be our in-race reporter, and when we come back, we'll ask him one question from Randy and one of yours from the mailbag. Stay with us here as we get ready for NASCAR Nationwide action. NASCAR Nationwide Series action at O'Reilly Raceway Park brought to you tonight by LoJack, the most successful theft recovery system on earth. And you can see the fans, they're getting ready to go racing as the cars are out on the pace lap. And we'll put our starting lineup across the top of your screen. And remember, take a close look at the top 10 because the winners come from the top 10, 6 races in a row, and 20 of 26 times here at O'Reilly Raceway Park. Let's dial up our in-race reporter. That's Jason Leffler. Randy, it's all yours.
Jason Leffler, Randy LaJoie in the booth. You got a copy?
That's clear there, Randy. How's it going?
Doing good. I wish I was where you were at. Let me ask you a question. There's a short list of repeat winners and a very short list of back-to-back winners. You want to put your name on that list?
For sure. Great Clips Toyota is pretty good here today. And, you know, starting out 11th, not great, but be a lot worse, and we'll just see how the race plays out. But love racing here at ORP, and look forward to getting 200 laps and getting to the end of this thing where I have a shot to win.
Okay, that's good. Our mailbag question is, how much confidence do you have racing at a track where you won before?
A lot of confidence every time we come here to ORP. I love it. One of my favorite racetracks. Tested a bunch here in my early days. Drove some good race cars for Steve Lewis, Bobby's, Dino Tomasi. Won a lot of races here, and just always had a good knowledge of this place. So it's worked out. Paid off last year for sure.
Okay, good luck tonight and tomorrow.
And 4.
All right, let's transition over to his crew chief, Todd Losey.
Todd Losey, Randy LaJoie in the booth.
Yeah, Randy.
You guys chose not to practice this afternoon. How come?
I had to do some stuff over at the Brickyard there, and really the first practice is the important one, and you can always get yourself in a little bit of trouble running in them conditions. So it all worked out good here. So we got enough practice in the first one, and we were pretty good. So we'll go race and have a good time tonight.
Okay, good luck and thank you.
All right, so let's take a look at our 8 onboard cameras. You got Mike Bliss with the Miccosukee Resorts machine, then Clint Boyer, the Camping World Chevrolet, Mike Wallace in the Geico Toyota, Kyle Busch with the Z-Line Designs Toyota, Scott Wimmer in the Holiday Inn Chevrolet, of course Jason Leffler with the Fresh from Florida Toyota, and Carl Edwards, the Vitamin Water Ford, and Stephen Wallace with the Jimmy John's Chevrolet. Let's quickly get the final reports from pit lane. Jackaroo.
Well, Marty, you want to watch the guy that found himself qualifying on the outside of the front row, Kyle Busch, because of the decision by the pole sitter to start on the outside lane. He finds himself on the inside. We're talking about Kyle Busch. He's already won. He's already run yesterday here at ORP in a truck that he didn't like, Vince Welch.
Well, Jack, starting 15th is Brad Keselowski. He has been hot. In fact, he hasn't finished outside the top 10 since May 9th. That string of 9 straight top 10s has vaulted him to second in points. But they didn't like the car in practice, and Tony Eury Sr. threw major changes at it for qualifying. Keselowski told me much better. Feels like he's got a car that could definitely be top 10 or maybe even more. Dave?
Vince, Jason Keller qualified 28th. He was so disappointed because this crew and this team have been on a roll since Loudon 4 races ago when they scored an 11th place finish. They've been in the top 10, and Jason has won here 2 times. They've recently announced they're going to Toyota next year with help from Joe Gibbs Racing. So that's where the disappointment comes from. A 2-time winner is going to be charging from the back of this pack. Marty?
All right, thank you, guys. Let's also talk about our race distance of 200 laps, or it breaks down to 137 plus miles. Pit road speeds 35. Go over, it's going to cost you dearly. In the pit window, 125 to 130 laps. So theoretically, you could do this on one stop. And you see the corners only banked 7.5 degrees. Only one car is going back to the back of the field, and that is Brian. And Brian Keselowski, he missed the driver's meeting. There he is in the 92 going to the rear. And he talk a little bit about sleepers. What do you like here, partner?
I'm taking a 33. Cale Gale's a short track guy. Kevin and Delana Harvick have done a great job with this race team. I'm taking Cale Gale.
All right, I'm going to go with Scott Wimmer. He's starting 9th, won at Nashville. Look for him to work his way towards the front. All right, pace car has pulled off, and it will be on the outside coming into turn number 1. The pole sitter, Colin Brown. It paid off last night in the Truck Series as they did the same maneuver there. And as they come to the line, oh boy, Kyle Busch got the lead. Here we go.
Still outside. Still out on your bumper. 3 wide. Still outside. Clear up. Clear up.
So the strategy backfires for young Colin Brown as he now finds himself in 2nd place, and Kyle Busch is going to lead another lap. He's led, well, 1,043 now this year.
There's a rule in the rule book that states that the 2nd place qualifier can't beat the 1st qualifier to the start-finish line.
So you're saying he should have been tossed?
Well, I haven't seen. Well, get the spot back.
Take a look.
Here's the rule book.
All right. Well, we'll find out if NASCAR does enforce or interpret the same way you did. Take a look at Joey Logano there. Almost went 3 wide. That's a battle for about 5th on the racetrack. Logano's running 4th. Reagan listed in 5th. Now they switch the spot as they go across the line. And there's Reagan on the outside. Now remember, Reagan crashed here last year. In fact, he brought out our 2nd caution on lap 43. So he wants to put that one away. And look at Josh Wise in the 22 trying to work his way underneath the 20 of Joey Logano.
That bottom's going to come in sooner or later. I mean, the more guys that run down here, the more grip is going to be down there.
One of the things we noticed last night watching the Truck Series race, I mean, not only did the bottom come in, so did the apron and so did the grass.
Yeah, absolutely. These guys are going to be all over the place, especially when it gets dark here.
Take a look. There is Scott Wimmer. He's got Carl Edwards in the 60 right behind his number 29 on board with Carl. That is David Stremme in the Penske colors. And yes, that is a 4-race deal if you weren't with us earlier today. Roger Penske taking a look at David Stremme, possibly to take over that number 12 ride in Sprint Cup action next year.
You know, there's 2 things to run the bottom here. Number one, you got to have a decent race car, but you also have to discipline your driving style because it's a different drive down there. You have to roll the center of the corner. You got to pick the throttle up easier, and you just can't pass the guy quickly. It takes a couple laps to get by the guy.
Carl Edwards at 66 of Stephen Wallace and his teammate Stremme right there in the 64. Stremme's got his hands full with Landon Castle. Meanwhile, a little further up, there is Clint Boyer. Boyer shown in the 9th position with Jason Leffler right behind him in 10th. I'm sort of surprised how quickly this race has sort of settled into a almost single file fashion. I mean, last night's truck race, there were 3 and 4 wide for about 6 to 10 laps.
Well, like I said, when it cools down, you get a couple cautions. These guys are going to be all over this racetrack.
You're on board with Jason Leffler as he's looking underneath the 2 of our points leader, Clint Boyer, and he's got that low line. Can he make it stick? Looks like he's going to clear him and does take the position. So as we move a little bit further forward in the field, Joey Logano running in 5th. And Vince, are you hearing something from pit lane?
Well, Marty, if there's one place that you don't want to have problems with your radio and not be able to hear your spotter, this may well be it. But Joey Logano cannot hear his spotter up on the roof. So he's driving blind in some regards because the spotter is so important here at O'Reilly Raceway Park. So the team has already sent a runner with the new radio pack all the way to the outside of the track. He'll have to go up the stairs to the roof and hopefully get that spotter a radio that will work so Logano can hear what's going on around him.
All right, so we'll keep tabs on that story, see how it develops. Right now, it's not affecting Joey at all. I mean, he's holding station in 5th. His last lap, 23.6 seconds, and the race leader, Kyle Busch, at 23.5 seconds. So we've run 10 laps already here, and our race leader is Kyle Busch. He's got a 1.3-second lead over 19-year-old Colin Brown. Who's going to win this one tonight? Well, it's a long way from being decided. Kyle's out in front. Welcome back to the Kroger 200 as we look down high above, and let's talk a little bit about what's going to happen tomorrow. Of course, it is the All-State 400 at the Brickyard. You've got Brickyard champions of the past, Jeff Gordon, as he'll start 5th, and of course Tony Stewart, last year's winner, will start 14th. And of course, then you got Kyle Busch. Is he going to come from the 19th starting position and sort of get in their way of breaking their drought? Well, it's the Sprint Cup Series. Coverage begins. NASCAR countdown at 1 Eastern tomorrow from the Brickyard.
Marty, all these guys' tires are up to pressure now. The guys are riding. Okay, what do I have? Turns 1 and 2 is still in the sun. 3 and 4 is a little dark, so you have 2 different grips. 3 and 4, you got a little more grip than you do 1 and 2. So the guys are just feeling it out, settling down, talking to the crews. Okay, guys, take a breath. We're pretty decent. We have to change something. That's what the guys are doing right now.
Saw the laps led for Kyle Busch just here in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. And in all 3 NASCAR series, he's led a total of now over 2,470 laps. All right, we're getting word that maybe Carl Edwards has got a little puff of smoke coming out of this car. Let's keep an eye on it and see what's happening. On board with Carl.
Yeah, it is. You can see a little bit of smoke, but then again, it could be, well, it looks more like smoke from the motor.
Dave, what's going on?
Well, they've had, okay, Randy's calling smoke from the motor. I was listening to 2 different voices. The other was the 60 team who is saying other teams are saying they smell rear end grease every time he comes by. So it could be the rear end. We're going to have to wait and see, but bad news early for Carl.
Oh, he just spanked the wall with the right side as David Ruderman went underneath him. Now let's take a look at the right side, see how much damage there was. Yeah, he pancaked it a little.
The right front tire's hitting. It could be just tire smoke, but that's what happens when you hit the fence.
Yeah, but there's still smoke coming out of the back of this thing. I don't know. This could be trouble for Carl Edwards. And we got a crash in turn number 2. It looks like Mike Bliss is involved, yes, in the number 1 car. The man who has won the most races here at this track in the field tonight with 12 total victories. Turns it around in turn number 2. Don't know if he got help, but here on lap 22, we have our first caution.
He was looking in the mirrors like, where are those guys?
A little bit of damage to the back of the Miccosukee Resorts Chevrolet. Take another look.
Top of the screen. Oh, he just got loose all the way up on the high side. He was running a USAC groove up there.
Ooh, boy,
that was
just
close.
making it through.
Might have been David Reagan that he.
Well, Brad Keselowski got through.
Chase Miller.
Chase Miller just made it through.
I had to check the damage on the right side of the 9 car.
Bliss still under fire, and pit lane, of course, closed right now. He was running 16th at the time. Here comes Carl Edwards into pit lane, so obviously they need to take a look at this. And yes, there is still smoke coming out of the back of this car, even when it's idling its way at 35 miles an hour.
You ain't kidding. You see the right front tire obviously has been hit. Nobody's going under the car.
Dave Burns.
And what they want to do, the one thing that crew chief Drew told them not to do is go a lap down. So as you inspect, jack the right side of the car up, take a look underneath. Oil cooler line is leaking, they say. Perhaps that's what it looks like. Spotter telling him that the field is in turn 3. He needs to put the car down and get off of pit road. Now they have an assessment of what they might have.
All right, let's take a look at the 01 as he becomes your lucky dog. Danny Eflin gets the free pass. We'll get back on the lead lap. So Mike Bliss, go riding on board with him. Here's what happened heading into turn 2 as we head towards commercial break here at O'Reilly Raceway Park as the sun continues to set. Back here at O'Reilly Raceway Park, Carl Edwards, defending series champion, is back into pit lane, and as we get closer, you can see the oil, Randy.
That's right. It wasn't tire smoke. Look at all that oil. Obviously, there's a line loose somewhere, and that doesn't do a lot for the grip of the tires. That's
We might get another caution right away. Let's go.
Drop the hood. Drop the hood. Come on. Drop the hood.
Well, they got to put the pins in, Carl, or it's going to fly up on you, buddy.
Center of the back.
Lights are out on the pace truck.
You got time. 4,700.
See, Mike Bliss has made his way back out onto the racetrack. Bliss managed to stay on the lead lap, and still an awful lot of smoke, but if there was an awful lot of oil still on the engine cover, so that may be a residual effect if they got the leak stopped. We'll have to wait and find out. Here we go, back to green flag racing with Kyle Busch, Colin Brown, Cale Gale, David Reagan, and Joey Logano, your top 5.
I was watching the monitor earlier. The 16 was mirroring the time we got a wreck in turn 1.
Oh, and another crash, and everybody getting on the binders. That was Danny Eflin. He had just gotten the Aaron's lucky dog. He gets turned around, along with the 05 of Brett Rowe.
Start it back up. Bring it on around, Brett.
So we've got damage to the back end of both of those trucks. And let's also update you. Carl did go a lap down as a result of that second pit stop. So he right now is 1 lap down in 37th position. Let's take another look at what happened here.
Down there.
I really can't see what happened. They got in there a little late. Must be the oil that Carl Edwards was dropping on the racetrack.
Both cars got some heavy damage to the back end, and you can see Eflin still trying to stay out there. Pit lane is not open yet, but we'll be under caution for a few more laps. Our second already here at O'Reilly Raceway Park. All right, let's talk about what's coming up. If you have not had enough motor excitement, well, NASCAR Now at ESPN2 tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. will get you cranked up. And then, of course, we've got the All-State 400 at the Brickyard on ESPN at 1 Eastern. And then drag racing tomorrow night on ESPN2 from the last stop of the Western Swing at 7 Eastern. And NASCAR Now will put a cap on the day on ESPN2 at 10 Eastern. Brad Teague in the 52 got the Aaron's lucky dog this time, so he goes back around, and that means we have a total of 34 cars on the lead lap. And there is the 60 trying to work his way back out, but Dave Burns, he's had a lot of problems. He's 2 laps down.
Gone several laps down, and they're trying to save the motor on that thing. They had no oil running to it because of the oil cooler. The oil cooler was the problem, so they bypassed it. Randy, these engines generate a lot of heat. I wonder how long that's going to last.
I think he'll be fine. The racetrack, the air's cooling off. I don't believe oil temperature here. You know, it's not a Daytona. They're on and off the gas. It gives a little time. And these oils in these cars are pretty darn good.
Well, we had a chance to eavesdrop on the radio. Here's what happened when he found out he had a problem.
I barely touched the wall down the back straightaway on the right side. Yeah, something's burning up. I don't know. It doesn't smell like gear oil to me. It smells like just, it smells like an engine blowing up, so it smells like. But I'm going to go ahead and come in right now. Let's just look at it, okay? I barely touched the wall.
So there was Carl's conversation, and obviously it did turn out to be more than just a tire rub. And let's go back and show you that brush with the wall as we're still under caution here, our second of the day.
You know what? I mean, when you smell smoke in a car, you know what the gear smells like. There you go, just a little bit of rub. Like I said, that's not a lot of damage. It doesn't help it a whole lot, but when you smell something, the rear end gear has a distinct smell. The engine gear, transmission gear, you know, they all smell a little different.
All right, Carl's now 3 laps down. Let's get an update on Mike Bliss. Vince?
Well, one of those who suffered a little bit from that Carl Edwards situation was Mike Bliss. Bliss slipped in the oil laid out by Carl Edwards. Didn't make any wall contact, but did get some rear bumper damage from another car, Marty.
Well, I'll tell you what, Kyle Busch has got the restart just nailed. Colin Brown is left in his tracks.
Well, I tell you, he must have been watching Ron Hornaday tapes because he just looked like a Ron Hornaday restart.
Jack, you've got more on the 18?
Yeah, Marty, thus far, when the car first starts out, it feels fine. And then by about, 10 to 12 laps, in the center of the corner, it starts to push. Then it starts to get loose coming off the corner. Jason Ratliff and Kyle Busch have been talking about it through the first 2 caution periods. They haven't decided what sort of adjustment they will make. Thus far, it seems to be doing okay as compared to the rest of the field, though.
Well, right now he has already opened up a full 1-second lead over second place Colin Brown. In third, it is now David Reagan. Cale Gale is 4th. Joey Logano rounds out your top 5.
You can just see David Reagan just went by the 33 on the bottom. The 6th car, he got 2 Roush cars, 2nd and 3rd.
Keeping a tab on Logano. Remember, he has no radio communication, but he hasn't been passing anybody, so he doesn't have to worry about being clear to make sure he doesn't clip anybody.
Well, a spotter really helps when you're going backwards. When you're running in the top 5 and you're running good, you know, you really don't need one. But here you see Josh Wise is underneath him. But as long as he keeps his head on cool, he'll be fine.
Josh has to fall back in line, so he'll remain in 5th place. Bobby Hamilton, 6th place, I should say. Bobby Hamilton is in 8th now. Jason Leffler has just gotten around him for 7th. There you see the Great Clips car, top of your screen.
As you've seen, that car was pretty free coming off the corner. When this sun goes down, I think the 38 is going to be pretty good.
Well, and that's the big question we always talk about. You know, what do you give up during the heat of the day, knowing that your car setup's going to come to you when the track tightens up?
And I think that's one of the reasons they didn't practice the second time. You look, David Ruderman and their point leader, Clint Boyer, going at it.
That's a battle for 13th on the racetrack. Boyer has it. Ruderman wants it.
Ruderman started 21st, so he's rolling to the front.
And remember, Mike Skinner gave him a good race car. I mean, Skinner had that thing up at the top of the speed charts in both practice sessions. And then David came over cold and qualified it. Let's get more from Vince Welch.
Dave 99 and David Ruderman is starting to move up, although he says the car is feeling tight, but you expected him to move up because Mike Skinner was so good with this car in practice as Ruderman runs up a great onboard camera there with Clint Boyer. But Ruderman's car tight on exit, but he's still making his way toward the front. They'll certainly make an adjustment at their next pit stop or at their first pit stop.
Well, one of the things that's interesting, even though he ran 2nd here last year, David Ruderman doesn't think that ORP is one of his better racetracks. We talked to him.
first started racing there in the NASCAR Crash and Truck Series, I was quite possibly the worst guy who ever drove at ORP. I mean, I was horrible. I could never do anything right there. And then not last year, but the year before, in the nationwide race, we were horrible. I mean, I just came to the conclusion that I was just never going to be any good there. Then last year, Jerry Baxter and I, after that race, said, look, I don't care what we do, we're not coming back here going to be this bad again.
And right now, he's still got his hands full. As you see, Landon Castle has gotten around both of them. So the youngster managed to move up a couple of spots and got the National Guard number 5 car on the move. And then you see, there is Ruderman getting around the number 2 car of Clint Boyer. So Boyer's going backwards, Dave Burns.
Yeah, Marty, thought I'd better give you guys an update on that car. Loose in and off, and that's something that he was fighting in practice today. It was actually a bunch of no's. The car had no grip, no forward bite, no turnability, and the things it would do, chatter the front tires and turn suddenly off the corner, weren't good things. So that turning suddenly off the corner, he's still fighting, and into the corner as well, loose.
And you can see the sun glare. It's going to be there for about another 5 to 10 minutes, and then that will no longer be a factor. But it's not really that bad here for the drivers.
Not at all. The sun, going into 3, you're going to get it for probably about 15 or 20 laps. But there's a lot of racetracks. You're driving blind for 200 feet.
Battle for 10th. Scott Wimmer trying to stick his nose underneath the 66 of Stephen Wallace. Here we go again.
This is where you have to discipline yourself. The guy on the outside knows you're there. He's not giving you a lot of room. You got to just really tell yourself to be smooth on the throttle. Don't run up and use 8 tires off the corner, because it's very easy to get into the guy coming off the corner.
Take a look at the battle for 5th right now. There's Josh Wise going to try and stick it in there underneath the 20 of Joey Logano. Again, it flattens out when you're on the bottom of the racetrack here, and that's what makes it difficult.
He must be trying to do the slide job on him like he does in the midgets.
Well, the only problem is if you slide and you haven't cleared, you're going to the wall.
Well, somebody is.
Somebody is.
Because 8 tires definitely corner better than 4.
So this battle continues on the racetrack, and while they're knocking heads, what it does is allow Cale Gale to open up a full second ahead of them. He's in 4th. Let's get more on these two as they are fender to fender, Vince, and they just touched.
Well, what's interesting is both drivers have talked about how loose their race cars are. So loose they can hardly drive them. Both have also heard from their spotters and saying, you've got a little room behind you if you want to let the guy go by. But neither one of these drivers are letting anything go by. They're going at it hard. Loose race cars, they both want help at the pit stop.
So the 25-year-old of Josh Wise gets around the youngster, the 18-year-old of Joey Logano, and that one calms down for a little bit. Meanwhile, here goes Wimmer and Stephen Wallace. Wimmer in the 29 can't get it done.
That's right. Stephen gets a run on the outside. He says, man, you're not going to pass me. My car's good up on the outside.
Dave, you've got more on Stephen Wallace as he now goes to the low side.
And he always drives fast. He always drives hard if he can, Marty. And he was very, very happy. Whoa, little wiggle coming off the corner there with that car in qualifying. He said, quote, it felt really good. It was a little bit tight off the corner. Right now, his trouble is with the 29 car.
And Dave, the problem with the 29 is they can't get the car to go down low. They try to get him to lower his line because there's no grip, according to Scott Wimmer, and he's just holding on for dear life. Keeps saying it's real loose.
So as we continue to race here, we've run 48 of 200 laps. There's your top 5. A familiar name up front, Kyle Busch, but there's a lot of action going on behind him. His lead is 1 second. Stephen Wallace is one of those that's in that battle. He's 10th right now, trying to move up to the front.
The Boston Red Sox, bolstered by the return of big slugger David Ortiz, play host to their bitter rivals, the New York Yankees and Alex Rodriguez. It's another meeting in this storied rivalry. Yankees-Red Sox. It's ESPN Sunday Night Baseball at 8 Eastern.
Back here at O'Reilly Raceway Park, we've just passed the quarter mark. We've run 54 of 200 laps, and Kyle Busch has led every single one of them. Let's take you up to speed with Nationwide Insurance. First up, Jackaroo.
Well, Kyle Busch continues his magical mystery tour of the year where he will race anything that has 4 wheels. Kyle Busch is out front with a commanding lead over second place. He has been complaining about the car being a bit tight in the corner and coming off a bit loose. They have one chance to make an adjustment when they pit as scheduled on lap 110. Meanwhile, Colin Brown, who was the pole sitter, settled back into that second spot after electing to start on the outside. He didn't even lead a single lap. Brown complaining of the car being a free in a little bit. Dave?
Jack, good run so far for Reagan. The car, his report right now, just a little bit tight in, just a little bit free up off. Good job today by substitute driver Augie Vinovich to get it close for David Reagan. The 33 behind him, Cale Gale, well, he did all the work behind the wheel today, and he's done a fairly good job so far. The car right now just a little bit tight from the center off. They told him, his spotter told him, work on turning before him. That's trying to catch the 6 in front of him. Vince?
The 22 is Josh Wise. He's running in 5th place. This is just his 10th nationwide start this season. He was 16th at Gateway, yet to finish on the lead lap in any of his starts this season. So running in the top 5, a big, big edge for the Josh Wise. He says the car is loose. They want to fix it at the stop, Jack.
Vince Jason Leffler qualified for the Brickyard 400. He ran only one practice session with this car in the early morning. He liked the car so much he didn't worry about it as he went over to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Is he worried now? He reports that the car feels fine as the sun begins to set, Vince. Look for him to move further to the front once we hit the dark.
Jack Joey Logano in the 20 car is running 7th. It was an interesting start for him as a spotter communication on the radio was not working, so they had to run a radio up to the spotter stand. Logano does have help now when he gets in traffic as the radios are working, but he says the car is still loose. They want to correct it at the stop, Jack.
Meanwhile, right behind Joey Logano is the 47 machine, and of course the Clorox Special has been battling all afternoon. They practiced very well. They were happy with their car, but they too have been battling a tight condition in the middle of the corner, Vince.
Bobby Hamilton Jr. in the 25 car is running 9th. He started a season best 6th tonight. Couple of top 10s this season, and he believes that this is a track where he can add to that total. Dave Burns?
And Steve Wallace still running in the top 10 right now. He almost wrecked in practice going into turn 1, recovered from that, made sway bar and shock adjustments to get good rotation without being too loose during practice, and so far is having a good run with that car. Now, a guy who's not having such a good run, the reigning champion, Carl Edwards. You just saw he lost time on pit road, bypassing the oil cooler. 15 laps ago, oil temp, 265. Just recently, about 5 laps ago, up to 270. Okay, motor tuner LaJoy, acceptable numbers for the oil temp?
Absolutely. It can go over 300.
And he's 3 laps down right now, running in 36th position. We have a total of 30 cars on the lead lap. And we talked about the top 10. Keep an eye on Mike Bliss. Remember, he had that early spin? He's in 11th right now. But Kyle Busch is still the man to beat at O'Reilly Raceway Park. Back here at O'Reilly Raceway Park, notice that Colin Brown has closed the gap on race leader. It's down to 0.7 of a second. It was over a second with Kyle Busch in front, and all of a sudden he's got a car that is sort of slowing down. We listened in on the radio.
This doesn't feel like the right side's that much grip through the corner. You know, I'm like pushing the front and sliding the back at the same time.
Okay, right now we're working on some air pressure stuff for grip. We're going to get a small rubber out of the left rear and get that track bar. Your lap times are still, you know, much better than the guys behind you.
Well, that was a little bit earlier, but obviously now Colin Brown is within a half a second. So it looks like the longer this run goes, the better off it is for Colin Brown. And we're almost to the window for one stop.
Absolutely right. I think these guys probably go 110 laps. And if they do a one stop here, it would be tough to beat. Kyle Busch is looking in the mirror and sees a 16 coming. And his crew chief tells him, well, you're still the fastest car on the racetrack. And he's looking in the mirror, like, well, if I'm the fastest guy on the racetrack, who's the guy behind me?
Well, Jack, let's get the latest update from pit lane. What do you hear?
Well, we're talking about Colin Brown. You know, he certainly wowed all of us. The car has been a little free, as I said, going in. But this is a team that is racing with a heavy heart tonight. The engine tuner for this team, Wayne Cantor, lost his son, Sean, earlier this week. And the entire team send their condolences and their wishes. And Colin told me before the race he would like nothing better than to put this City Financial Special into victory lane to pay tribute to Sean Cantor.
We send our best along as well as Colin, a man on a mission, as he's trying to track down Kyle Busch. And right now it is sort of held station the last few laps at a half a second between the leader and second place. In third, a full 2 seconds back, is David Reagan. Then Cale Gale is fourth. Josh Wise is fifth. Jason Leffler, last year's winner, is sixth. Logano has dropped down to seventh. And Mike Bliss in the one car has moved up to eighth.
Absolutely. Litter's battle. These guys have been going at it tooth and nail, inside, outside. There's about 3 different battles on the racetrack. Landon Cassell in the 5 car. I'm not sure how he is rim riding this place like I've never seen before.
There he is on the top of your screen in the 5, the National Guard Chevrolet. So Landon Castle, as he continues ahead of Stephen Wallace. Let's get more from Dave Burns.
Yeah, Randy noticed that rim riding right there as now back to the inside goes Wallace, and Clint Boyer thinking about making it 3 wide there to left of your screen. And there's Cam Strader, the new crew chief for this 5 car, and he told his young driver, hey, that rim riding thing, you're a 10th and a half better than anybody around you. He's moved his way into the top 10, restarted 16th, and now trying to chase down Kelly Byers for that 9th spot.
Yep, Chad Walton, crew chief that was on this car, resigned for personal reasons earlier this week. Cam has taken over, and right now has Landon Castle riding the rim. This reminds me of Greg Biffle last year at this race. That's exactly what Biffle did as he ran up front all night.
Yes, he did. And the car Colin Brown's running is a car that Biffle ran. And we're going to have a shot for the lead here soon.
Look at Castle squeeze his way around the other car, the 30 there of Kenny Hendrick. Kenny, of course, is several laps down.
Somebody beat the heck out of the right side of that thing.
By the end of the night, a lot of them are going to be beat. Take a look. Here comes Clint Boyer looking underneath the 66.
And as he goes, he was complaining loose early. As he goes, he's going to get better. You burn fuel off, and that helps the rear grip.
Remember, ooh, it got so close coming out of 4 there. Remember, we told you that last night we saw it in the truck race. It's starting to happen here. Boyer, the last time through 3 and 4, went all the way down the apron. He does it again.
Absolutely. That's one of the most fun things about this racetrack. You could go all over. If you don't like the car on top, you could drive the thing to the bottom, which is neat.
This battle continues. Let's get more on Clint Boyer, Dave.
Marty just checked with the crew on how that 2 car was running. They said, you know, he was screaming earlier, but he hasn't said a thing in a while. And I guess, Randy, it looks like he adjusted his line to what that race car wanted to do.
Absolutely. And that's what he has learned, you know, in his last couple of years of being experienced. Well, we might see that what's going to happen here with the 18 and the 16. The 16 was a car length away, and now going through traffic. You know, Colin hasn't run with traffic a whole lot. Kyle Busch has, and Kyle's going to get away from him a little bit.
That is Josh Wise in the 22, David Reagan in the 6 on the left side of your screen. That's a battle for 4th on the racetrack. And then they're keeping tabs on what's happening over on the right side as well with the battle for 11th. Boyer has gotten around. Here comes Scott Wimmer starting to head for the 66 as well. Boyer, the points leader. Can he work his way towards the front? Picked up 1 spot. He's got a long way to go, and we still have a long way to go. We're not even halfway here at O'Reilly Raceway Park. Back here at O'Reilly Raceway Park at the NASCAR Nationwide Series, it's race number 22 of 35, and Kyle Busch continues out in front of Colin Brown by about a half a second. Colin had gotten closer, but the 56 car, you see there was lap traffic. That was Travis Kittleson, and that slowed Brown's effort to get a little bit closer, so now he's got to reel him back in again.
They both of them better get going, because Mike Bliss in the 1 car has been 3 to 4 tenths faster than both of these guys.
Here's our Holiday Inn Express staying under the green. You can see all the stats so far, and every lap has been led. There is Jason Leffler going underneath the 6, and remember, Leffler said, my car will get better as the night gets cooler. And Leffler is moving up along with Mike Bliss as these two are just trying to carve their way through the field. And remember, look at the damage on Bliss's car. I mean, he banged the wall, bringing out that first caution.
But you know, that's worth a couple tenths when you spin out, that's for sure.
Hey, Vince, this guy was 31st back on lap 26. What are they talking about down in the pits?
Well, it's amazing the number of cars, and you see a little hanging off the left rear there. That's from some damage earlier in the race when he spun in the oil of Carl Edwards and got tapped from behind. Fortunately, no more serious damage than that, but you see his move up as he's all the way up to 7th now. And of all the drivers that we've heard tonight talking about their cars too tight, too loose, Mike Bliss just came on the radio and said, yeah, it's pretty good, actually. That's a good sign.
It is a good sign, as he is just slicing and dicing his way. He's in 7th right now. His next target is David Reagan. That's lap traffic. Randy McDonald in front of him in the 81. There's Reagan. You can see him from the onboard camera.
When the driver says we're pretty good and he's just passed 24 cars, the crew chief's like, you're darn right we're pretty good.
Down into turn number 1 as you get a look at the great crowd that's here at O'Reilly Raceway Park. And notice Bliss is using every inch of this racetrack in his effort to claw his way back towards the front.
He's only won here a dozen times.
Yeah, 12 times in about 3, 4, 5 different types of vehicles.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he knows this place well. Let's go back a little further and check in on Clint Boyer. There he is in the Camping World Chevrolet. There's the number 2, and he's in 10th place right now, Dave.
Guys, right now you want to get as much advice as you can no matter where you're racing, and Clint Boyer's hearing from the voice on high, Richard Childress, on top of a hauler, saying this to his driver.
I don't see how low you can get. When Harvick won the race, it was so low. Good, you can kill them off the corner.
And that's what the driver likes to hear, especially the last part, Randy. You're just killing them coming off the corner.
Yeah, that's the greatest part. When you're sitting in the car and those guys tell you you're killing them, you don't have to tell him because he knows. You're sitting there, you see where you're better than these guys, and that's awesome. He can keep that up all night. It'll be great.
And that 20 car of Joey Logano is his next target as he is trying to scratch his way back further up into this field. Because Joey, as this run has gone a little longer, seems like he has lost a little bit of the performance in that Toyota. As we move back to the front, Kyle Busch has got a 7/10 of a second lead over Colin Brown. Cale Gale's in 3rd, Josh Wise is 4th, and last year's winner, Jason Leffler, as we approach the halfway mark here at O'Reilly Raceway Park. Back here at O'Reilly Raceway Park, our aerial coverage provided to you by Goodyear for track-tested technology. Get there on Goodyear Innovation. As you look down, you can see the drag strip off to the right, the road course. This was built back in 1960. We got a caution out for the 64 of David Stremme, and we got a lot of smoke coming out of the right side.
Rear bumper's hanging off. He had some contact with something or someone. Looks like the wall.
And we are exactly at the halfway mark as this caution came out.
Top of the screen. Oh, he come off the corner. There you go.
Ouch.
Sparks, that was cool.
That was almost in your living room, wasn't it?
As long as you're not a Stremme fan, because that wasn't cool if you're a Stremme fan.
Well, and of course, like we said, Roger Penske is keeping his eyes on him. He's got him under a testing contract already. So here we are, definitely within the window. And Jack Arute, they're coming your way. Let's send it to you.
Oh, yeah, and your leader, Kyle Busch, had the tearaway on the top of his windshield. They've made an air pressure adjustment on the front of the car to try and solve this tight, loose condition. They have decided that, pending any other major problems, this will be his last pit stop. Vince?
The 22 car, Josh Wise, he said it was very loose early, but it's much better now. They're going to give him a little more forward bite with a half-pound adjustment in the right front and a 3/4 round on the track bar. Dave?
Just a little tight for the 33 of Cale Gale. Oh, a little slow on the left rear. They said this will probably be their only stop. No changes to the 33 except 4 fresh tires. Here's the race off pit road, Marty.
So as the race off, you can see that Jason Leffler picked up a spot. Mike Bliss picks up 1 as well. Josh Wise lost 2. Scott Wimmer was the big winner. He picked up 3 spots on the race off pit lane. Take one more look at it. This is what brought out our 3rd caution here at O'Reilly Raceway Park. And the lucky dog, that'll go to Mark Green. Back here at O'Reilly Raceway Park as we go back to green flag racing. Kyle Busch is back at point. He got another lightning start over the 16 of Colin Braun. And Brown is finding himself getting the worst of these restarts. We should also tell you the 38, Jason Leffler, got caught for speeding in pit lane. That's going to be just about enough to get him cranked up.
You ain't kidding. He's going to be passing a bunch of cars here in a hurry, but they all better watch out for Mike Bliss. I think Mike is the fastest car out there right now.
Jack, you got more on Jason?
Yeah, Marty, you would think that maybe Jason would be very, very upset. And he said, geez, I don't think I was speeding. But very calmly he said, you know what? Computers don't lie. So he went to the end of the longest line as his penalty.
He's right alongside the 13 of Shelby Howard, who celebrated his birthday yesterday. And he gets around him currently in 21st now. Meanwhile, you saw that Kyle Busch is just continuing to fly. There's Landon Castle in the 5. 22 is Josh Wise. And Castle is running 5th. Wise is 6th. Well, this young kid, Landon Castle's learned how to run this racetrack.
Absolutely right. You know, he's up on the high side of this thing, going a long way around.
Riding on board with Carl Edwards. Carl is still 3 laps down after having his oil line problems earlier. You know, the reason we've talked about how Landon learned this track last year, he crashed, he tagged the wall on lap 13. Didn't get a lot of action in. Take a look at Kenny Wallace. All of a sudden, he has slowed to almost snail's pace. Did he perhaps brush the wall?
Yeah, they got in a gaggle of cars coming out of 2 over there, and there was about 6 of them looking for one area.
He's got Joey Logano underneath him there in the 20. David Rudiman in front of him on the 99. Too wide all the way back for about 4, 5 rows. Going back up a little further, there's the 2 of Clint Boyer with Scott Wimmer duking it out. That is a position battle. That is for 8th on the racetrack. The 81 is Randy McDonald. He is lap traffic. He gets to the high side. Here comes Rudiman as well to try and get into this mix.
These guys are starting to build up a sweat halfway through this race. The cars are what they have, and a lot of these guys are, okay, my patience is running thin. I got to go.
Jack, what's the latest on the 29?
Well, when Scott Wimmer came in, he was complaining, as we told you, about being loose and having no grip. So what they did is they went up on the air pressure on the right front. They went down on the track bar, trying to find more grip on this Holiday Inn special.
All right, well, let's reset your top 5 for you. You got Kyle Busch leading, Colin Brown 2nd, Cale Gale 3rd, and Mike Bliss is up to 4th with Landon Castle 5th. I'll tell you what, if Bliss wins this one, there he is in the number 1 Miccosukee Resort Chevrolet. If he wins this one, this is going to be maybe the best drive he's ever had at this track, and he's won here 12 times.
You ain't kidding. He's got to get by 3 other guys. And Cale Gale has a good race car. Speed-wise on the sheet, he is very good, too.
There is 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, all in the shot there for a moment with 88 laps to go. This one is far from over. Take a look. Kelly Byers, he's got a tire rub. He's had some contact.
Exactly right. He just run into somebody probably going in the corner.
Got a pretty good rub.
Usually a lap car.
So Byers in 16th position. Let's go back and see how this all transpired. There's Leffler in the 38. Oh. So Leffler's got some damage on his right rear.
That's not going to hurt him as bad as the 47, that's for sure.
So high above.
There it is. I mean, it gets very tight when you come off. When you run the bottom, when you come off the racetrack on the bottom, it gets very tight very quick.
Jack, what's the update on the 47?
Well, the reason that Kelly Byers found himself up there is because Scott Cibitelli and his spotter told him to try up there. They want him to try and get a little bit lower on the racetrack, but so far the car is so free, he's only been able to run on that upper line. They tell him to keep trying to bring it downstairs to see if it will work. That's where he's gone now, guys.
Well, he's going to have to come in. I mean, that tire is rubbing on almost every corner.
It's not going to be bad, because once the air pressure builds up, we'll be okay. Yeah, he'll be fine with it.
All right. Well, we'll find out. Let's go back forward and check in on the race leader, because Kyle Busch is now got a 1.3 second lead over Colin Brown. In 3rd, it's Cale Gale, and Mike Bliss is in 4th. There's your top 5 with 85 laps to go. Kyle Busch has won 30% of all NASCAR races in all 3 series. Does he add another one tonight? Back here at O'Reilly Raceway Park, we're under our 4th caution. Kelly Byers, remember he had the tire rub from the incident with Jason Leffler. Well, we don't know exactly what happened. We're going to take a look here. There's the 40 of Brian Clausen. Here's what happened. There is the 47. Keep an eye on that left front. Did it blow first and cause this? Yes, it did. He hits the wall, and then somehow Clausen ends up in this. Clausen was running 18th at the time, and he has brought it behind the wall. Let's ride with Mike Wallace. Oh, he gets turned by Keselowski. And he saw the contact up ahead.
Absolutely right. He started to lift a little bit, and the 88 just got back in the back of him just a tick.
So they'll work on the 40 car. About that 40 car, hey, Dario Franchitti just released today. He's going to run 7 races through the rest of the season. Back here at the Kroger 200, we're under our 4th caution with Kyle Busch, who has led 119 of 122 laps, still out in front. But there has been a ton of action behind him. We can tell you the lucky dog on this one goes to the 92 of Brian Keselowski. And take a look at Kyle's statistics and counting. In 2 of the 3 series, he is number 1. And he's over 2,500 laps in front. That's rarefied air. Stay with us. We're coming back. Our aerial coverage provided tonight by Goodyear for track-tested technology. Get there on Goodyear Innovation. Thank you, guys. Great pictures. Look at this crowd. Beautiful view. And we're under our 4th caution here. 20 laps so far. Let's take another look at our Holiday Inn race summary. It'll be on the bottom of your screen and get you caught up. We've had a total of 3 leaders. Kyle Busch has led the most laps. 4 total lead changes. Kyle's been out in front for 122 of 125. And our average speed, as you see, 83 miles an hour plus some change. We've got 22 cars still on the lead lap. And we've run 19 official laps under caution. Let's quickly check in with Dave Burns as the lights are out in the pace truck.
Yeah, Marty, Kelly Byers had a fast race car. Kelly, talk about the contact with the 38 and that led to the tire going down.
Well, you know, the first time 38 got in me, it was on the first long green flag run, and he used me out, get through the corner, used me as a wall, basically, and I kind of forgot about it, and we went back to green there, and he went by me again, didn't leave me enough room down the straightaway, knocked the left front fender, and which resulted in blowing the left front tire. So just a disappointment. I know it's a short track racing, and I mean, it's tight. You know, you use your fenders, it's tight and everything, but I mean, you got to give someone room. You know, this is what results of it. These guys work way too hard on this Clorox Ford Fusion team, and just disappointed. We thought we'd get a good, strong top 10 finish tonight, and we ended up with this. So we'll work on it here and get it back out and get what we can.
And as you finish up, we go back to green flag racing here with 72 laps to go.
You would have thought after the first 2, the 16 will try to push that 18. But boy, he's getting off to some wonderful restarts.
Could it be gearing? I mean, could he just have a different gear?
No, he's using all that 15 horsepower less than everybody else.
So not getting that wheel spin that we were talking about.
That's right.
Okay. Well, Kyle Busch, who has now, well, he's led the most laps in 9 nationwide races this year. Whoa, we're going to try 3 wide down here. Look out, fellas.
That started in turn 4. I was watching that. I was like, wow, this is going to be real interesting.
Boyer cannot afford to get taken out.
Wide.
There's Wimmer. He's on the high side in the 29. Here comes Rudeman alongside, and there comes Logano in the 20. Oh, there's some rubbing. Rudeman makes a nice save after the 56 gives him a little nudge. Looks like everybody's going to calm down a little bit now. There's the 38 of Jason Leffler, not on Kelly Byers' Christmas list, that's for sure, as of right now. On board with Leffler, who is now back up to 12th position. Remember, he had to go to the back of the line for speeding penalty, so he's worked his way back up from 31st to 12th.
He's passed a few cars, that's for sure.
Take a look at Brad Keselowski, because he took a late pit stop here, didn't he, Vince?
That's right, Marty. Came in on lap 121. Track bar adjustment, air pressure, 4 tires, Sunoco fuel. They were so loose early in the race, they cut the chain on the sway bar. Now he says it's gone the other way. It's so tight, he said it's a 7 on a scale of 10. They can't find the sweet spot here tonight.
Yeah, and that's 23 laps in hand as far as the tires are concerned, but if the handling's not there, you're still not going to move forward.
No, not at all. You could put tires every 20 laps on that thing.
Take a look at David Stremme. He's got the right front portion of his car patched, and he is back out there. Stremme's running 19th. Now, take a look at the 60 of Carl Edwards. Now remember, he had early oil problems. He is 3 laps down, but he is now running so fast that he has tracked down the race leader. He's trying to get a lap back the old-fashioned way.
That's a you earn it. You go there and you go up there and you pass them. And you know, if anybody's going to do it tonight, this is going to be the first time that the 18 is going to be passed. Carl's going to do it.
Let's just ride along. Listen.
Back in the throttle, wide open. Oh man, missed it. I got to get him again. This is where that discipline comes in. You get underneath them, you get halfway by them, but when you get in the middle of the racetrack, when you come off the corner, the 18 has the momentum.
Look, Carl's not a threat. He's got a 1.1 second lead, Kyle does, over second place. Wouldn't it be the smart thing, just let him go?
You're going to say smart to a race car driver? You know, when you put that helmet strap on, it does something to you. You don't want nobody to pass you.
Well, you can take a look at the lap speeds, and you can see exactly what we're talking about. Carl's got himself a good race car. Unfortunately, it's a little late, Dave.
And Marty, this is a test session for them right now. Carl radioed in just a few laps back. Hey, you know, the temperatures aren't that bad. Maybe we don't need to run that oil cooler at tracks this size. So they're seeing how long the thing will last, and if it might even save them some weight next time.
Well, he's trying to go underneath, and yes, I think he may get it done this time, at least from the onboard. Well, maybe not.
You know what he could be doing? You know what he could be doing too? Is Kyle could be using his tires up a little bit more than he needs to be. Because that 16 behind him, those guys are just kind of just nice and smooth.
Well, remember, late in the run, Colin Brown had a better chance. He had a better run going, catching up to that 18 car. Jackaroo?
Marty, you're absolutely right. In fact, Colin Brown needs long runs for his car to get in. Meanwhile, your leader says that the adjustment that they made on the right front tire on the air pressure has given more stability, and it has cured to a certain degree that tight, loose condition. They talked a little bit about trying to save their tires, and Kyle Busch said, I don't know why you got to worry about that, guys. I think we're going to have about 15 more cautions. They all come late in this race, and everybody had a big chuckle.
Right now, as you can see, there's the gap between first and second. That is 0.8 of a second on the clock. About 3-4 car lengths on the track. And you see Colin is one of the guys that's trying to get his first top 5.
Nobody coming.
And while all this is going on, Dave has caught up with Brian Clausen.
And the crew is working feverishly around this car. Brian, talk about what happened with Keselowski on the track.
You know, I'm not really sure what happened there. You know, it seemed like he thought 8 was going to be better than 4 there. I don't know if he jumped on the brakes when the 47 blew a tire or what, but just kind of slid up into the side of us and didn't really leave us any chance. But you know, we're really looking forward to this weekend. The guys on the Fastenal team did a great job dialing this thing in. We were really loose to start and made a great adjustment there on that stop. We were just trying to work our way through traffic and have a good run here for the hometown guys and the founder of Fastenal's here. So we're hoping to have a good showing, but we'll go on to next week and try and run a little better.
They've gotten a lot of repairs done here, Marty. They will try to get back out and get some laps.
And if you missed countdown, he had about 150 family and friends here tonight, so a big disappointment. While all this was going on, you notice the number 1. Here's Mike Bliss on the move again. He has gotten around Josh Wise and Cale Gale. He is now up to the 3rd position, and he was 31st on lap 26, and he is still a fast race car out there.
Yes, he is. And that race team has done a good job preparing for this weekend.
You can see right behind him, it is Cale Gale and Josh Wise, and they're trying to reel him in. In fact, Josh is trying to get underneath the 33 right now and can't seem to get it done, and that's allowing Bliss to pull away.
Absolutely. And Mike Bliss, trouble.
Trouble is the 56, and Travis Kittleson is into the wall down here in turn number 4, so that's going to bring out our 5th caution of the night. He's banged up about 3 corners of the race car.
Left rear tire, you see, either they got cut. He's been in the middle of a lot of action tonight.
He was running 26th, total 1 lap down. Take another look.
Not with Leffler.
Did Jason do it again?
No, left rear was flat.
Tire was already down.
Yeah. We don't know what happened out of turn 2, though.
How far back can we run these cameras? He does get into it, but it looks like the tire was down before.
Yes.
All right. right. Well, it's going to be another bit of caution period for us as he's trying to get it back to pit lane. Your race leader is still Kyle Busch. He's led 140 laps, but it's been chaos behind him.
Kevin Agani here, and here's what's happening on SportsCenter right now. The Marlins continue their domination over the Cubs with a 3-2 extra inning win at Wrigley. Jeremy Hermida went yard twice. The Fish have won 12-13 over the Cubs. Favre or no Favre, Packers head coach Mike McCarthy said today that he's committed to Aaron Rodgers as his starting quarterback. Next SportsCenter, 11 p.m.
Some interesting developments here at Indianapolis at the O'Reilly Raceway Park. We are under our 5th caution right now, and we saw from 10th place on back pit. Now we're going to talk about the importance of that in just a moment, but take a look at 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Kyle Busch, Colin Brown, and Mike Bliss. And Bliss, we told you about the 12 wins that he has here, more than anybody else in the field. Take a look, 5 in the sprint car, 2 in the midget, 5 in the Silver Crown. Jason Leffler has 7. Morgan Shepherd won his 3 here in the Nationwide Series and on down the list. Now let's talk a little bit about the strategy from 10th through 22nd. Now this included guys, and we'll get the entire list for you, but this reminds me of what happened last year in this race when Jason Leffler took advantage, pitted later than everybody else, had 50 laps more advantage on his tires over those that stayed out. He came back to win the race.
Well, there was less guys on the lead lap. You know, we have 23 guys on the lead lap here. So, you know, these guys, it's going to be exciting because there's cars capable of winning this race.
Jack, let's get more on the 38.
Marty, you're right. There are shades of last year, but Randy, you are right as well. There are more cars on the lead lap. So why did the Great Clips car come on to pit road? A little bit about last year and more about this year. The car, according to Jason Leffler, was so loose, they felt like they had to put 4 new Goodyears in. They packed in the Sunoco fuel, and now they're going to let Leffler see how many spots he can gain back. Remember, he came from the end of the longest line for speeding on pit road during his normal pit stop. So now they're going to see what little left turn is going to be able to do here at ORP.
Well, and as we get ready to show you all the cars that pitted, there they were, and they now have 44 laps in hand over the front runners from 1st through 10th position currently on the racetrack. So this is going to be interesting to see how this unfolds as we have got 53 laps remaining here. It'll be 52 this time by as the pace truck has pulled off. Let's go full throttle and watch another restart by Kyle Busch.
Ready, green. You're back in a little, but come on. There you go. You're good. Come on. Still one back. He's good. All good.
Kyle Busch has been just amazing on these restarts tonight. He just opened up a 9/10 of a second lead in 1 lap.
Absolutely, and there's a start line down there, and he's definitely ahead of that start line. But Carl Edwards is like, hey, I want to go get another one of my laps back. He's chasing them hard, and Kyle's trying to stay in front of him.
Right now, as it now stands, we're approaching the 3/4 mark, and Kyle Busch, out of 150 laps, is now led officially 147 of them. Let's get more from Jackaroo.
Well, Marty, one of the major reasons why Kyle Busch did not pit is because Jason Ratliff convinced him not to pit. They talked at length about maybe coming back in.
Right front flat.
Kyle Busch said that he wanted to come in.
Tires, guys. Just right side tires. Just the right front tire. Just the right front.
And Jason Ratliff said no, track position is too important. That's the report on the 99, guys.
Yeah, we heard on the radio he's got a right front flat, so a tough break for David Ruderman. He was one of those guys that did come in and take advantage of that last yellow to put fresh tires on. He's got a little damage to the right front. Maybe he got some contact, and that's what cut it.
And that's one of these things that I do know about these Goodyears. They do need the air.
It doesn't matter what make it is, they need air.
This is true. That's not a run flat.
This is under green, Vince.
Well, guys, you see them changing that right front and working on a little fender damage as well. They had come in at lap 145. Crew Chief Jerry Baxter said, hey, let's roll the dice. The car's not very good anyway, so they took a gamble, and it ended up backfiring on them anyhow with the flat right front, guys.
Yeah, he restarted 16th. You can see he's going to go another lap down as this is basically going to put an end to his chances of winning here tonight with 47 laps to go. And remember, he was the one who finished second here last year to Jason Leffler. Boy, old Carl Edwards, he is not giving up. He wants another lap back.
When he's using this as a well test session, he's like, okay, I'm going to run this thing as hard as I could. We'll see how hard we can run this mode. But I do believe he's also helping his teammate out. The harder he runs Kyle Busch, the more Kyle's wearing out his tires. I'm not sure the 20 laps that he's trying to get on him here is going to help the 16, but it's not going to hurt, that's for sure.
Take a look at this record that could be broken tonight if Kyle Busch stays in front. It would be a new single season mark with 14 if they can do it. They've already tied the mark with 13. But Carl, as you said, and he has given Kyle everything he can handle. And again, I go back to the same thing. Just let him go.
That's it. That's that helmet strap. It cuts the blood flow off.
Well, right now, Colin Brown is not able to take advantage. His deficit is now 1.2 seconds. So in the early stretches of these runs, Kyle's car seems to be better. The longer the run, Colin's car seems to be better.
Absolutely right. And the only thing Colin needs to hope for is that they don't get into lap traffic. Lap traffic just kills Colin.
And for more on Colin Brown, let's check in once again with Jack Arute.
Well, Marty, the guy that has the best seat in the house with this Carl Edwards-Kyle Busch battle is that 16 car, the City Financial Special for Colin Brown. Now, Brown was cautioned by Eddie Pardue, his crew chief, to just be patient. As he watches this all unfold, Eddie was explaining to his driver that, look, just like Randy said, that's going to put pressure on the tires on your leader. He told him, look, think the big picture and just race the racetrack. Guys,
take a look at Mike Bliss right behind him in third place. Bliss has got himself into position, but now he has sort of maintained station as it be. Here is this restart after our fifth caution.
Here we go. You can try to crossover move yet.
Carl gets around him, but here comes Kyle right back. He does not want to let him get back on that lead lap.
The year that he's having this year, he don't want nobody to pass him.
And now it's forced Kyle to run the low line, and Carl clears him and starts pulling away a little bit. Take a look at it as he is now officially one lap down. So he's still got to go all the way around twice more, but boy, Kyle just does not want to give him any quarter on this with 40 laps to go here. And Colin Brown has now carved a half second off of the lead while all this was going on.
He's just, the 16 just eating it up. He's like, okay, come on, keep racing, guys. I'm coming. I'm trying to be smooth. I'm trying not to wear my stuff out. The one car you see is starting to get a little sideways. He might have worn his stuff just a little bit too much.
Well, Carl Edwards is working 24-second laps, and of course that's his teammate in the 16 car. Will he try and help him out? Right now he's trying to pull away from our leader, Kyle Busch. This is our last break. Oh no, and before we go to break, we have a crash down in turn number 2.
The 81 car, Randy McDonald.
81 of Randy McDonald.
He was underneath 64 for a long time, those two guys.
He was running in 24th position, one lap down. And so now with Carl in front, he'll get to go all the way back around. Take another look.
Okay, now he's on the outside of his 64. And they might have made a little bit of contact, and Randy just come by and ended up in the grass.
So now we'll take our final break as we get ready to head for the final stretch here at O'Reilly Raceway Park. Does Kyle win for the 6th time in the Nationwide Series, or does Colin Brown get his first? Or could it be someone else? Well, who's going to win the Brickyard, the Allstate 400 at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway? You'll find out when everything starts tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Do former Brickyard champions Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart look to end their winless streaks that they've had going so far this season? Or does the red-hot Kyle Busch take another checkered flag? You can find out. Coverage begins with NASCAR Countdown at 1 Eastern. And we also should send out congratulations to Scott Dixon. He won the IndyCar race at Edmonton. So he widens his points lead over Elio Castroneves. And here is Carl Edwards. He did come into pit lane and is currently 24th and is one lap down. And another car that came into the pits was the 38 of Jason Leffler. He is now listed in 21st position. So now he has very fresh good years. Let's go back and give you the bird's eye view and watch the crew in action. And Adam Mills and Ryan Berry, the two guys that we have crew cams on tonight. Thanks, guys, for letting us watch the action. As
I've tried that.
Yeah.
I've tried that one time.
How good were you?
Well, I was good the first time, and the second time one of those lug nuts come back, hit me right square right between my eyes, and it messed me up totally. It's not as easy as it looks like.
No, it's not easy. Take a look. Baseball Tonight is next on ESPN. Hey, he should be hired by the promotions department. Good job, guys. Thank you. Glad that you're with us here at O'Reilly Raceway Park. Remember when Carl Edwards was 3 laps down on lap 135? Well, now, if we get one more caution, he gets the lucky dog and gets back on the lead lap. I guarantee you this next time, if he gets up front, there's no way Kyle Busch is going to let him go by.
No, not at all. It's going to be, we're going to have to watch this restart because, number one, I mean, Carl's the 4th car, 1 lap down. No, he's the 1st car, so he will be able to go up front. And these guys here are going to have to, it's a courtesy move to let the guy by.
Let's talk about the restart, and let's bring in this tapered spacer, because we talked about the fact, you brought it up, less wheel spin would actually potentially help the Toyotas, and Kyle has just been blowing everybody's doors in on these restarts.
Absolutely. I would like to hear what they said at the drivers meeting, because that line over there out of 4 is a restart line. And, you know, I've seen Rusty Wallace get penalized for jumping that restart line. So we'll see on this here, because Kyle has been a couple start before this line.
All right, let's get more as you look on board from Carl Edwards' point of view. Jack?
Well, Marty, there's been one guy that's been interested on what Carl Edwards has been doing, and that is the leader, Kyle Busch. He wanted to know how many tires and how many laps down is this vitamin water special for Carl Edwards. When they told him now that he was only 1 lap down, he said, well, did he take 4 new tires? When they said yes, you could tell from Kyle Busch's voice that he has been impressed with the run by Carl Edwards, and he wants to keep him behind him at least for another 33 laps.
Yeah, David Ruderman is ahead of him on this restart, but he is actually 2 laps down. Carl would get the lucky dog. Who got it this last time? The 27 of Brad Coleman. Here we go. Kyle Busch, hammer down again.
He does get away from him, that's for sure.
And Carl's got to make quick work of David Ruderman if he wants to try and go back up and run with Kyle Busch. There is Colin Brown. Remember, he is running in 2nd. The number 1 of Mike Bliss is in 3rd. Cale Gale in the 33 is 4th. Josh Wise in the 22. Rounds out your top 5.
2nd and 3rd right there. These guys are starting to dig. You're going to throw everything out the window. Whatever you have, you're going to get. Here's Ruderman going to try to get by the 18.
And we've got another crash, the 52 of Brad Teague. You also saw the 61 of Brandon Witt as he scraped the wall in this as well. So now we get our 7th caution coming out here at O'Reilly Raceway Park.
That puts Carl Edwards back on the lead lap.
And you're right. And now this is possibly going to get interesting.
He only has to pass 22 cars.
Yeah, that's going to be the hard part, because now he's going to be behind a lot of cars. He's going to have to work his way up. If you're wondering about the record for most cautions, because we've had quite a few here in the last couple of laps, it's 13. The fewest was 1 back in 1985. So all that hard work, take a look at the back of the pack. Oh, you can see from right there. Ouch. 2 of the cars end up brushing the wall. So we will take a break as we get the track cleaned up one more time. We'll see if we can get this to go green the rest of the way, as we've got 30 laps to go here, the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Carl Edwards Edwards has spent a total of 6 minutes and 45 seconds in pit lane. He is now back on the lead lap. Let's listen in on the radio.
All right, let's do whatever gets us the win here. You think about it hard.
All right, there you see we're going to be racing for the lucky dog here. We're going to be one down. We're going to be racing 2 guys, I think it is, for the lucky dog here.
All right, we're going to win this damn race. Let's do it.
Got him worried about you, Carl.
Should be. We're coming.
He's going to have to come a long way. He's 24th right now on the restart with 27 laps to go. Kyle is up in front and again gets another cannon shot.
Yes, he does. He's just rocket ships off of these restarts. Maybe I told you that restrictor plate might help him. He definitely don't have the wheel spin.
That's David Ruderman right behind him. He is 2 laps down right now, so not a factor in the race win. There is Carl trying to get underneath David Reagan. So Carl is trying to slice and dice his way through the field. He's up to 23rd. If he gets around Reagan, that'll be for 22nd. 6 minutes, 45 seconds he has spent in pit lane, a total of 5 pit stops. You want to know what Kyle Busch has done? 1 pit stop for 44 seconds.
That's it?
That's it.
Wow. You know, you wonder why. 99 just went by the 18.
So,
he's thanking him.
Yeah. So David Ruderman gets on the very tail end now of the lead lap. He was only 1 lap down officially, according to NASCAR scoring. Right now, Kyle Busch has to look in his rearview mirror because here comes 19-year-old Colin Brown. And look a little further back. There's Josh Wise leaning on Cale Gale in the 33.
This is getting awesome. You got Joey Logano running into the top 10 also. Right behind him. These guys are 3 wide, 2 wide. This is a cool race.
Yeah. Kyle may have led 173 laps so far, but this has been an entertaining race because we've had so much action going throughout the field. Vince, what's going on?
You know, it's amazing with Josh Wise in that 22 car. They have not finished a race on the lead lap all season, and here he is. What a great shot in the arm with a season best 7th qualifying effort tonight, and now he's running in the top 5 here in the race. This is a team, Josh Wise and crew chief Paul Wolf.
We're going to get away from him, man.
For Michael Waltrip Racing, and they're having an excellent night tonight.
You heard Wimmer's radio saying we're going to get away from him.
Come on. He's going to hit you. All right, get going, get going. Woo!
He's telling Wimmer to get going, and Wimmer's on the low side trying to go underneath.
He's going to hit you. He's going to. You don't want to hear that, man. Tighten the belts. You can't catch me. First, he has to catch me before he can hit me.
Well, Josh Wise has gotten around the 33. Wimmer's trying, and there's Landon Castle creeping into this mix as well. Dave, what's the latest going on in Cale Gale's pit?
Encouragement from all sides. Rick Corelli is his spotter, but Kevin Harvick, team owner, has been encouraging his young driver all night long, telling him where to run, where to try things, and to let him know if it works any better. In fact, earlier he told Cale, who runs a late model on lots of occasions when he's not running in the Nationwide Series, drive it in like a late model. That means send it in deep and hope that the thing sticks. Turn the wheel and we'll see.
Wimmer still on the inside of the 33, has to give way here through turns 1 and 2. This is the battle for 5th. While all this is going on, nothing has changed up front. It's still a half-second lead for Kyle Busch over Colin Brown. Let's give a little nod to Marcus Ambrose. All night long, we've been trying to work our way back to him. Marcus, he has picked up the most positions tonight. He has come up a total of 27 positions to 10th from 37th. And remember, he was one of our drivers doing double duty, barely got over here. He will start 24th tomorrow at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway at the Brickyard 400. And what a great job. And we asked him about doing the double duty and how hard it can be and how much fun it can be.
Well, I'm fairly new to this whole double duty thing, so I did the biggest one you could possibly try to do, and that was the Sonoma and Milwaukee race in the Nationwide Series. So anything has got to be better than that, because that was really tough, especially my first start at the Cup level, first time double duty. There was a lot of brand news for me, so this weekend it's going to feel pretty smooth and easy.
And he has given this car a great ride tonight. You can see he's got a little damage, but who doesn't after this race? I mean, there's always some banging.
You ain't kidding. There's going to be a couple happy guys, but most of the guys aren't going to be happy.
Now let's check in with Carl Edwards, because guess what? Carl is coming on. He is down in 15th spot, but remember, on the restart, he was 24th. There's 16 laps to go. There he is. Got a gaggle of cars in front of him trying to pick his way through. Look at the damage on the 2 on Clint Boyer. He's got the right front corner all torn up.
You look at this, and we heard Carl early in the race say, this racetrack is so much fun. This is why it's so much fun.
Reagan is underneath. Trying to follow him is Carl. Dave Burns, what's going on?
And Marty, he got all the help he's going to get in his race car. That is Carl Edwards, but he also asked for help from Jason Hedleski, his spotter. Now, Jason can get him around single cars pretty well, but this gaggle right here, I don't know. Carl's going to have to wedge his way through all these guys.
And the laps are winding down. We've got 15 to go, and Carl right now is in 15th position. Trying to get under the 2. He's trying to go through the middle. Oh, this might not work. Here we go. Nope, thinks a little wiser of it. Reagan gets loose up in the 6. That's the 92 of Brian Keselowski,
who's doing a great job.
Meanwhile, Carl continues to try and pick his way around this group. Brian has worked his way up to 13th. That is 4th position for Keselowski. Remember, he got the lucky dog earlier tonight. There's David Stremme. He's in the 11th position. Carl gets loose. Hang on. 13 laps to go. Nothing's changed up front. Kyle Busch is still the race leader, but this is fun watching Carl 3 laps down, and now he's back on the lead lap and challenging for a top 10.
Now, how about Stremme? I mean, he knocked the wall down early in the race. There he is running 11th.
Absolutely. Some great rides tonight by a bunch of drivers here in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. 12 laps to go. Edwards gets a little breathing room, but that's not what he really wants now. He wants to get in to the guys that are up in the front. And that means Kyle Busch, Colin Brown. And Colin Brown, is, you can see there's Kyle going around the now modified Brian Clausen.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there is the 16 right behind. And this gap is starting to close. And here comes the 1 of Mike Bliss again. Bliss had dropped back a little bit. Now he's closing the gap.
You know what? These guys, if they could, Kyle's not going to slow down, that's for sure. He's up on the wheel. He's on go every lap. He probably got his mirror turned up, and he's trying to catch everybody behind him.
We are getting ready for 10 laps to go next time by. There is Mike Bliss. His last lap, a little bit better than the leaders. Vince, you've got more?
Bliss didn't run his fastest lap of the race until past the midway point, and they believe this car just gets faster as the race goes on. They wanted, in fact, this to go a long green flag run to the end because crew chief Mark Reno told him, if this is like the first stint, we're going to be the car to beat at the end. The question is Mike Bliss going to get a shot at the leader, Kyle Busch?
With 9 laps to go, it looks like it may not work. I mean, Kyle has not made any mistakes tonight. The restarts have been death to everybody else in this field. I mean, he has just opened up the lead and then maintained it at about that space. 8 laps to go.
These Toyotas, you know, I mean, these guys got a pretty big chest out there right now. They're going to win another race possibly after a Tuesday rules change. These guys haven't even got a chance to work on these cars to take up the deficit that they took away from them.
This time by, it'll be 7 laps to go. Can anybody reel in the 18? Mike Bliss sure would like to have a shot at him, but he's running out of laps.
Colin Brown has done a wonderful job tonight in that 16 car. He's been right there. The only thing he's lacked anything was on the restarts.
Hey, Randy, remember you're the only 2-time pole sitter here and the only guy to win 2 in a row here?
Yeah.
Well, the 18 has taken one of your records away.
Because?
Well, you used to have the record for most laps led at 172. Well, Kyle's up to 191 and counting with 6 to go.
This is true. Oh, well. He's got a lot of them this year, that's for sure.
He's up over 2,550 laps total in the 3 series. 5 to go this time by.
Making mistakes here, bud. Taking your time around this stuff here.
You heard him. Take your time. Pick your line. Right now, Kyle Busch.
Nice job. Nice job.
Gets underneath Eric McClure. This is going to be an interesting winner's circle interview because, I mean, Toyota got slammed with the restriction on the tapered spacer. Now with 4 laps to go, it looks like they're going to lead, well, about 197 of the 200 laps unless something drastically changes. And take that, anybody who doesn't like the Toyotas.
Well, I mean, like we talked earlier, it's not going to hurt them all that much here. couple of weeks it might, but right now, I mean, these guys are just driving away. These race teams, these Gibbs race teams, this is no different than what RCR did a couple of years ago. That RCR Busch team a couple of years ago, they were just on it, and it was hard to beat.
And they won 13 races in the season, and you know, nobody did any restrictions there, but according to what some people have said, well, their horsepower didn't measure out in the dynos, but NASCAR hasn't released that information, so we don't know exactly what those numbers are back then.
We just know what the race results are and what we see on the racetrack. But, you know, cars that go through the corners pretty quick usually look pretty good down the straightaway.
Well, it looks like it's going to be all Kyle Busch with 2 laps to go down the backstretch. He is opening up an even bigger lead. It's 1.1 second over young Colin Brown, but Colin's going to have a career best second, and Mike Bliss does an excellent job as the white flag is out. Kyle Busch about to pick up victory number 6 and give Joe Gibbs Racing the record for single season wins with 14 here at O'Reilly Raceway Park. Down the backstretch for one last time. He will lead a total of 197 of the 200 laps. And anybody that wants to hear it,
you want a daddy rabbit, brother?
There it is.
That man.
Your winner, Kyle Busch.
Well done, man. That's awesome, guys. Thank you so much. Great car all day. Good job, Jason.
Take a look at Carl Edwards as he comes home in 11th position. What a run by Carl as he was 3 laps down. Another great run by Marcus Ambrose as he came from 25 positions up to finish in the 12th spot from 37th. So some great runs tonight by a lot of drivers, and none better than that man right there. Jack?
Jason Ratcliffe called the race. Kyle wanted to come in one time over the one pit stop, and you talked him out of it. Just how dominating was this, and what's the cause?
Well, I mean, IRP, you need track position. You need a good car. Kyle did a good job coming in here. He only got a few laps this morning on it. And Jeremy Clements did a great job for us in the second practice. Learned some things, got a good setup under it. And this is for, you know, after all we've gone through this week, the reason this team or this group has won 14 races is because of people, because of hard work, and because of manufacturer that gives us good parts. And this is for everybody at Joe Gibbs Racing. And the favor of the Lord's still watching us right here.
Go celebrate.
Thank you, man.
And if that sounds like a subtly veiled in your face, it was. And they have done an excellent job despite the new restriction. We'll see how it plays out as the fireworks fly in the air here at O'Reilly Raceway Park. And Kyle says, I'd like that checkered flag, please.
You get to take those home with you.
Well, he's taken quite a few things home with him,
yes, he has.
Especially a lot of cash. Let's check in with Colin Brown, who finishes a career best second, Vince.
Well, you told me beforehand you were confident about the car. Did you feel at any point that you were maybe going to have a shot at Kyle?
Well, you know, I thought that whole race, this number 16 City Financial Ford Fusion had a shot at it. My crew chief, Eddie Pardue, did a great job. These guys did a heck of a job on pit road. And, you know, congratulations to Kyle and those guys. They did a great job there. And, you know, Jack's been telling me for a long time here at Race Smart, Race Clean, and, you know, get log finishes here. And, you know, I'm sure if we wouldn't have had those conversations, I might have been a little more aggressive there. But just wanted to bring this one home and get a good finish for all the guys at City Financial and Ford.
Definitely did it. A career best second place.
Also a career best night for Josh Wise, who brings the 22 home in 5th, and Cale Gale in the 33 car in 6th. So as we mentioned before, some great runs. And boy, this crowd here at O'Reilly Raceway Park had a great show to watch tonight. Let's check in once again with Vince Welch.
Well, a season best third place for Mike Bliss, and I know that's not what you wanted, but you told me before the race you didn't really think you had all that great a car, so what changed?
Nighttime. Yeah, we weren't very good during the day. We're not good. Yeah, these guys worked on it, and we got this Mikasugi Chevrolet running really. I spun out. I was behind Carl, and I swear he was putting stuff on the track, because all of a sudden I spun out when he was oiling. So came back through the pack, and that was good. Third place is good. I thought we had a better car than that, you know, when we were coming up through the field, but we'll take third. That's a good stuff. That's a good finish for us.
Great finish, an exciting way to get there. Jackaroo?
Vince, you want to talk about excitement? Carl Edwards excited all of us. Dude, 6 minutes plus on pit road. You said you were going to come back and win this thing. You fell a little short.
A little short, man, but I don't know. It's just like anything in this world. You just try as hard as you can, and that's what we did tonight. And vitamin water, everybody was was very cool to put up with that. We had oil pump or oil cooler leaking or something, but man, I'd give anything if this thing was about 100 laps longer. I was having fun, and just too bad I felt like we had the fastest car. And that's fun in itself.
Marty, he's going to lobby for this to become a 300-lapper next year.
11th place, a great comeback after being 3 laps down. And it's time to talk to our winner. Let's take a look and listen to Kyle Busch. And there he is. Dave Burns, it's all yours.
They're hitting him with everything, the containers and the beverage, and high fives all around for the crew that Jason Ratcliffe has already mentioned is working very, very hard to make this team a continued winner. Kyle Busch, total domination here at the racetrack tonight, and only 3 laps you didn't lead, Kyle. What happened there?
We had to pit sometime or another, but man, what a great car, what a great team. You know, Joe Gibbs Racing, it's a no wonder we've won so many races this year. I mean, the guys just come onto the racetrack prepared. You know, there wasn't much that we changed on this thing from where we unloaded, and so proud of Jason Radcliffe and everybody at the shop, all these guys in the chassis shop and everything, and the engine shop especially, and you know, just made this weekend worthwhile. Especially, this is some pretty good redemption.
How about coming to the racetrack with fewer horses, but still getting it done? Did this track play to that, Kyle, with the way that it's shaped?
Well, I was kind of disappointed. I feel those 15 horsepower cost me the pole. But I really want to thank all my competitors out there for the complaining they did, because they gave me some good traction control tonight. So that was nice, but we'll see how it goes here at the big tracks, you know. And Jim Sexton's birthday, so we got to say hey to him and everybody at Z-Line Designs and all the guys at Joe Gibbs Racing. Thank M&M's for getting me here, and Joe Gibbs Driven Racing Oil, and everybody else that worked so hard on this Busch program, as well as everybody at JGR.
Kyle runs all 3 races this weekend. Segment 2 is a W, Marty.
Yeah, he was 8th last night in the Truck Series, first tonight. And this is the 21st time in 27 races the winner has started in the top 10, and 7 in a row. So the tradition holds true here. Final thoughts, Randy?
It was a great race. Cars all over the racetrack, and you can't take away from Kyle Busch what he's done this year. And man, you know what? That JGR team, like he says, is on it. You know, Joey Logano had a good run, come back. Landon Castle had a good run. Cale Gale. There's a lot of guys. Josh Wise. All these guys, a lot of the young guys had some good runs tonight.
And of course, we'll find out how they do on the road course next week up at Montreal. We'll see you next Saturday on ESPN2 at 2:30 Eastern for the NASCAR Nationwide Series at Montreal. Don't miss the Allstate 400 at the Brickyard tomorrow at 1 p.m. on ESPN. Coming up next, it's Baseball Tonight, the trade deadline special presented by Chase. Our congratulations to Kyle Busch, win number 6 in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. For our entire crew, for Randy LaJoy, Dave Burns, Jack Arute, Vince Welch, I'm Marty Reed. Till we meet again.